Hello Seahawks, today you're going to be taking notes on 1.2, adding integers. You should have in front of you your notes paper that looks like this to go along with the video. The first term we're going to talk about is opposite, and an opposite is two numbers that are the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides of 0 on a number line. And I did that ahead by accident, so I apologize, but you may pause right now to get that definition down and then move on to the examples. Two numbers that are on the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides of 0 on a number line. Some examples of opposites. 4, the opposite would be -4. 5, the opposite would be -5. -32, the opposite would be +32. -412, the opposite would be 412. Those are examples of opposite. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. If you need to pause to get these examples down, you may, and then continue. The next term you have is additive inverse, and additive inverse is just really a fancy word for opposite. So additive inverse means opposite. Okay, and you're going to see me use that term. We're going to use that for the next couple months talking about the additive inverse, okay? And again, it's just the opposite, same exact thing almost. Well, not almost, exactly. Okay, some examples of additive inverse. We could use the same ones if we wanted to. I'm going to use some different ones. -8, the additive inverse would be +8. Okay, 12, the additive inverse would be -12. Same idea, okay? And I'm going to talk about that later on in one of the examples. Okay, again, just a fancy word for opposite. Okay, there are some rules for adding integers that you need to have memorized. Okay, same signs, add. Different signs, subtract. Take sign of larger number. That's the rules for adding integers, and we are going to say this for the entire year on many different things. Anytime you're adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, this is what you need to think of. Same signs, add. Different signs, subtract. Take sign of larger number. And I'm going to prompt you in class, and I'm going to say same signs, and you're going to say add. And I'm going to say different signs, and you're going to say subtract. Take sign of larger number. You need to have that embedded in your mind forever. Same signs, add. Different signs, subtract. Take sign of larger number. You're going to see that I'm going to say that for every single problem that we go through. Okay, so let's try some examples. We have -7 + 2. Okay? I'm going to be labeling these for now just to get you in the hang of it. -7, that's a negative number. And then we have +2, that would be a positive. So we have a negative and a positive. That would be different signs. Different signs, subtract. So you're going to subtract the two numbers. You're going to find the difference of the two numbers. Now forget the positive and the negative thing right now. Just subtract the two numbers. 7 minus 2 is 5, and then you have take sign of larger number. So with different signs, subtract, take sign of larger number. Now we're again just looking at the number, okay? 7 and 2. Which number's bigger? 7's bigger. So 7 is a negative number, so my answer is going to be negative. Now, I want to show you why this works real quick. And I should have left you some room on your paper. If you want to write this on the back, you have some room on the back. So let me show you how this works. If we had a number line, okay, and this is -7, -6, -5, -4, and I'm hoping I made my number line big enough, -2, -1, 0, 1. I did, obviously. Okay, so your problem was oops, no it wasn't. -7 plus 5. Yes, is that the correct example that I have there? Oh no, it was -7 plus 2. Apologize, sorry. Okay, -7 plus 2. Okay, so let's start at the -7. This is where we're going to start. Okay, and you're just going to go, oops, what's that? You're just going to go plus 2. You land at the -5. Now that's a very simple concept, but I just want you to see -7 plus 5. Now let's go back and look at my rules. Okay, we have negative and a positive. That's different signs. Different signs, you're subtracting the two numbers. 7 minus 2 is 5, and you take the sign of the larger number. Okay, it's easier than making a number line every single time. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, we have a 2, that's a positive, plus a -7, that's a negative. So do we have same signs or different? We have different signs. So different signs, subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5, and that would be a positive or a negative. It will be negative because 7 is a larger than 2, and 7's negative, so my answer is -5. It's really the same problem, just backwards. Number 3, we have -16, that's a negative, plus 4. 4 is positive. We have same signs or different. We have different signs subtract. 16 minus 4 is 12. Take the difference of the two numbers, and you're going to take the sign of the larger number. What number's bigger, 16 or 4? 16's bigger, so my answer is negative. The next one, we have -14 plus -2. 14's negative, 2 is negative. Same signs or different? Well, they're both negative, so they are the same signs. They have the same signs. So same signs, add. 14 plus 2 is 16. Take the sign of the larger number. Which one's bigger, 14 or 2? 14's bigger, 14's negative, so my answer is -16. Okay, obviously they're both negative, so you're just taking the sign, but I just like to use the same rules for everything. So now if you think you have the idea, you should maybe pause the video and try a couple on your own and then go back and resume it. I would like to talk about number 7, though, in a minute. If you look at number 5 is -32 plus 7. Okay, so let's look at our numbers. We have -32, that's a negative, and 7, that's a positive. Okay, so do we have same signs or different signs? We have different signs, so different signs, subtract. 32 minus 7, you subtract your two numbers, you find the difference of the two numbers, you get 25, and take sign of larger number. What number is bigger, 32 or 7? 32 is bigger, so that would be a negative answer, -25. Number 6, I have -8 plus 22. -8, that's a negative. 22, that's a positive. Okay, so I have same signs or different? A negative and a positive. I have different signs, so different signs, subtract. Find the difference between 22 and 8. 22 minus 8 is 14. And you're going to take the sign of the larger number. What's bigger, 8 or 22? 22 is bigger, so your answer is positive. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. We have -14 plus 14. Okay, first of all, I could mark that. My -14, that's a negative, and then plus 14, that's a positive. Basically, what that is, -14, the additive inverse, or the opposite, is 14. Okay, so what happens when you have the sum of an integer and its additive inverse, or opposite? The sum is 0. But if you think about your rules, same signs or different? Well, you have a negative and a positive. That's different signs, so different signs, subtract. What's 14 minus 14? 0. Okay? But that is an example of additive inverse. When you have the sum of an integer and its additive inverse, the opposite, the answer is 0. Number 8, you have a negative 14 plus a negative 12. 14 is negative, 12 is negative. Do I have same signs or different? I have two negatives, so I have the same signs. Same signs, add. 14 plus 12 is 26. And I'm going to take the sign of the larger number. What's larger, 14 or 12? 14 is larger. 14 is negative, so my answer is negative. I definitely would pause now and at least try those last four very quickly. Not very quickly, you can take your time. And then come back and resume the video. So number 9, you have negative 13 plus 12. Okay, 13 is a negative, 12 is a positive. Do you have same signs or different? Well, you have a negative and a positive, so you have different signs. Different signs, subtract. 13 minus 12 is 1. And you take the sign of the larger number. Which number is bigger, 13 or 12? 13's bigger, 13's negative, so my answer is negative 1. Number 10, negative 16 plus negative 3. Negative 16, that's a negative. Negative 3 is a negative. Okay, so you have same signs or different? Well, we have two negatives, so same signs, add. 16 plus 3 is 19. Take the sign of the larger number. Which number is bigger, 16 or 3? 16's bigger, 16's negative. My answer is negative. Number 11, 22 plus negative 7. 22 is a positive. Negative 7 is negative. Same signs or different? Well, I have a positive and negative, so I have different signs. Different signs, subtract. 22 minus 7 is 15. Take the sign of the larger number. What's larger, 22 or 7? 22 is larger, 22 is positive, so my answer is a positive 15. Number 12, I have negative 14 plus negative 9. Okay, so negative 14, that's a negative. Negative 9 is a negative. Do I have same signs or different? Well, I have two negatives, so that would be same signs, add. 14 plus 9 is 23. And I'm going to take the sign of the larger number. Which number is bigger, 14 or 9? 14's bigger, 14's negative, so my answer is negative 23. Okay, and that's it for those problems. Now we're going to move on to a little bit more difficult problems. Okay, for number 13. Now 13, 14, 15, and 16, you're adding more than two numbers. So I'm going to show you the way I think is the best way to do this. Okay, you can do it any way you want, but I'm going to tell you that this is the quickest, most efficient, and you are more likely to get the correct answer. What I like to do is I collect my negatives first. I always collect my negatives first. Okay, so let's identify what we have here on number 13. We have a negative 14 plus 7, 7's positive, plus negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to circle my negatives. Okay, and when you have two negatives, that would be same signs. So same signs, add. 14 plus 2 is 16. And take sign of larger number. 14 is larger, so I'm going to take the sign of the 14, which is negative. So I have a negative 16 plus 7. So now I have a negative 16 and a positive 7. So I have same signs or different? Different signs, a negative and a positive. Different signs, subtract. 16 minus 7 is 9. Take sign of larger number. What's bigger, 16 or 7? 16's bigger, 16's negative, so my answer is negative. I think it's easier to do that. If you would like to just add and subtract straight across, I think that you have less thinking when you just collect your negatives, because you're going to add all the same signs, collect all your positives, and then find the difference of the two. Okay, let's look at number 14. You have a negative 15 plus 12 plus 4. Okay, I only have the negative 15, so I'm just going to bring that down. And then I have positive 12, positive 4, so two positives, that would be same signs. Same signs add. 12 plus 14 is 16, and they're both positive. Take sign of larger number, it would be a positive 16. Now I have a negative 15 plus 16. So you have a negative and a positive. So you have same signs or different. Different signs, subtract. 16 minus 15, find the difference of the two numbers, is 1. And it would be a positive because the larger number is a positive. Number 15. Okay, let's identify what we have. We have negative 22 plus 14 plus a negative 8 plus 12. Okay, so now I'm going to collect my negatives. I'm going to take all my negatives. Since they're all negative, that would be the same sign. So same signs add. 22 plus 8 is 30. And it would be a negative 30 because you're going to take the sign of the larger number. 22 is larger, so that would be a negative 30 plus 14 plus 12. They're both positive. 14 plus 12, that would be same signs, add, and that would give you 26. It would be a positive 26 because 14 is the larger number and 14 is positive. So now I have a negative 30 and a positive 26. Same signs or different? Different signs, a negative and a positive, subtract. Different signs, subtract. 30 minus 26 is a 4. And is my answer positive or negative? Well, take sign of larger number. Which number is larger? 30 is larger, so you're going to take the sign of the 30, which is a negative. It would be a negative 4. And number 16. We have negative 8 plus 12 plus a negative 12 plus 15. Now you could actually do this two ways. If you noticed that right here you have a positive 12 and a negative 12, that would be the additive inverse. That equals 0. Okay, so you can get rid of that. Now you're left with a negative 8 plus 15. Okay, that was one way of doing it. It makes it quicker. So negative 8, you have a negative and a positive 15. You have same signs or different? This is like a 0. It's up there. You have a negative and a positive, so that's different signs. Different signs subtract. 15 minus 8 is 7. And is my answer positive or negative? It's a positive because 15 is the larger number and 15 is positive. If you have any questions, please write them at the bottom of the page, any comments or whatever, and have a great night. Thank you.